So it's that time of year again. American football is starting up. And I know for some of you, you're like, oh, yes, I've been waiting forever to get to this next season. I know for others, I'm sure it's like, oh, geez, really? That's like someone saying, today you get a root canal. You don't want to, it's not something you enjoy. But for me and my family, we have grown up enjoying the sport of football, being very involved in the sport of football. And as a matter of fact, our kids had the opportunity, our boys did start playing football when they were 4.5, 5 years old, and it's been just fun to watch them grow over the years. I know some understand it and the rules of it, but for the sake of the story I'm about to share with you, I want to share just some of the basic rules of football. You have 11 people on each side of the ball. One is trying to advance the ball. One team's trying to advance the ball to the end zone. The other team, defense, is trying to stop the offense from advancing the ball. Where the ball sets on the field, there is an imaginary plane that extends to both edges of the field, and that is called the line of scrimmage. Now, when the ball is set and the offense comes up and gets set on the ball, they cannot move until the ball snapped. And defense cannot cross the imaginary plane until the ball is snapped. Or the center, the very large guy that wraps his whole hand around this football, hikes the ball to the guy behind him. That's the snap. So if you cross that plane before the ball moves, there's a penalty or an infraction. It's called offsides. You were off your side of the ball. When our boys were growing up, they would play football at the field of Clay Youth Football League, not get enough football there. They would come home and play in the living room. And at the ages of 5 and 7 or 8, Thomas and Tyler would roll around on the living room floor like two bear cubs. It was a lot of fun to watch. Thomas, being stronger and older than Tyler, a lot of times would allow Tyler to get partway down the field and then would just shut him down in the living room carpet. Tyler one day decides, I can't beat him with muscle or speed. I'm going to trick him. And so Tyler would come up, this little 5-year-old boy, and he would get down on this little football, and they would be nose to nose looking at each other. And Tyler, in his little 5-year-old voice, would go, down, set, hut, hut, hut. And Thomas jumped across the line. Tyler goes, offsides, 5-yard penalty. Thomas looks at me and goes, Dad. I said, you're offsides, bub. They move the ball down the living room floor. They get on the ball again. They're nose to nose. Down, set, hut, hut, hut. Thomas jumps again. Tyler goes, 5 yards. Dad, you were offsides. They move down the living room floor. Tyler's within striking distance of the end zone. He's grinning from ear to ear. They get down, they're nose to nose, face to face, in his little 5-year-old voice. Down, set, hut, hut, hut. Thomas is no dummy. He doesn't flinch. Tyler goes, offsides. Thomas looks at me and goes, Dad. I said, Tyler, who was offsides? Tyler goes, that guy way down there on the end of the line, he jumped. Thomas goes, Dad. I said, you know what? He's offsides. Sorry, bud. Did you ever have an invisible friend when you grew up? That person you can't see or touch, but you talk to, and they're kind of a companion and maybe provide comfort as you're going through things in life that maybe other people aren't around you to connect with. Or maybe you've watched little kids do that, and a lot of educators would tell you that's a sign of creativity. And so I think it's cute as you watch little kids do that, but here's the concern. They have invisible friends, but what about when we grow up as adults? It becomes less cute when we have invisible friends in our life. Because here's what I mean. An invisible friend for a child is someone that they may talk to, they may listen to, they may interact with, but that invisible friend does not impact their life. They can't. They're not there. We grow up and maybe have invisible friends in our lives, people that we talk to, we listen to. They're there in flesh, but they're not really there. Some of you have some of these invisible friends. You call them Facebook friends. You know, it's the people you don't really talk to. It's the people you don't spend much time around. But you watch each other on Facebook. They watch you, and you stalk them. Those invisible friends. People they're there, but they're not really there. And this word friendship is used in such a general way today that the idea of friendship has lost a lot of its value. It's lost a lot of its impact. And what could be something that's life transforming in your life and my life, something as solid as a friendship, becomes nothing more than just another casual relationship of no value. What's the purpose of a friendship? What is the objective in a friendship? And I think it's important to know the objective of a friendship and to sift through that and sort it out, because until we know the objective of a friendship, we're not going to ever really clearly understand how to be a productive part of a friendship, or how to look for people in our lives that will be productive parts of a friendship with us. Until we understand and know, we're not going to be able to wrap our heads around the roles that we should fill or they should fill in our lives. And here's the scary thing. Whether you understand the objective or purpose of a friendship or not, our friendships will still impact us. They will impact our lives. They will shape and change us as we move through life. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 24 says, "Don't befriend angry people or associate with hot-tempered people, or you'll learn to be like them and endanger your soul." The people that we choose to be in our circle of friends sways our journey. They impact and affect us in life. And some people go, "Well, not me. I don't choose that kind of friend. The friends I hang out with, they're people that are, they're just cool. They're pretty easygoing. We laugh, we cut up, we just party a little. We don't get crazy. You know, we're just friends. We have similar interests. We have a history. We went to school together. We've known each other for a long time. We're at a similar stage in life. It's just comfortable to be around. They don't judge me. They're my friends." But those friends impact our lives. What's the purpose of a friendship? And maybe before we answer that, we need to ask the question behind the question, because it's the framework through which I think we look at friendship. What on earth am I here for? What's the purpose of your life and my life? Well, didn't you ask that last week? Yes. And the week before that, and the week before that, because it is a fundamental question that impacts every other aspect of our lives. And until I figure out what on earth I'm here for, how am I going to know what friendships help move me in that direction to accomplish my life objective? It's kind of like this. My family and I have the opportunity this afternoon, later on today, the privilege to go to Indianapolis. We're going to celebrate my wife's mother's birthday together. With the rest of the family, we're going to go out and eat and have a great time. Now, we can get on I-70 and drive up to 465 and meet everybody at the restaurant, or we can take 40 up there. But I'll tell you one thing we're not going to do, and that's get on 42 or get on 46 or go over to Terre Haute and get on 41, because those roads are not going to get us to Indianapolis. It would be absurd to get on one of those other roads and say, "Well, we're going to be there in Indianapolis someday." We want to go to Indianapolis, we're going to take one of the roads that go to Indiana. The same is true in friendships. If you and I understand what on earth I'm here for, what my objective is in life, now I know, at least I have a framework to gauge the friendships. Will they help me get to my objective? Because some of us are going through life not knowing our objective and not choosing our friends wisely and expecting to go somewhere. And it's not going to happen. The road you're on, the friends you've partnered with, are going to drag you in another direction. Our friends impact us. They shape and mold us, whether we want to or not. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, the Apostle Paul says, "Bad company corrupts good character." He's quoting a popular saying of the day, and some people think, "Well, I thought my parents came up with that." No, way before them. Bad company corrupts good character. The people we hang out with impact, shape, mold our lives. And I know I got to throw this out there because I know there will be some people who go, but you got to understand, I'm being friends with this person because I want to help them know Jesus. That's great. That is a lofty goal. That is, I think, a God-honoring objective, but keep this in mind. Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. It says, brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by sin, some of you who are godly, that means some of you who are wanting to live a God-honoring life. Godly doesn't mean you're better than everybody else. Some of you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. Then listen to this warning. Be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. You see, saying you want to help somebody get on the right path in their relationship with Christ, whether they're a believer or it could be a friend that's a non-believer. You want to help them move in that direction. That's great, but be careful, lest you fall into the same mess they're in. Well, that would never happen to me. We're just friends, and I just want to help them. But for one or two bad decisions, that could be you or I. You know, we're all beggars trying to tell another beggar where to find fresh bread. We're all sinners. We're all in this mess together. Yes, God wants us to interact in the lives of those who do not yet know Him, but be careful. Friendships impact your life. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20 has a good word of warning. It says, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. Your friendships impact your life. So what's the purpose of friendship? Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. I want to read this today, and we're in a series right now called Uncommon Sense, because the world would say to you and I, here are the things you need to do in life to get ahead. Here's how you need to have a productive life. If you do this, if you do that, it just makes sense. Everybody's doing it. But yet the Bible would say, here's some truths that will impact your life, and it is completely foreign to the world's way of thinking. It's countercultural. It leads in another direction. And in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Now, maybe you've heard that verse before, and maybe it sounds kind of, iron sharpens iron, friend sharpens a friend. That's great. But as I started digging into that verse, I realized that it says some things that maybe we miss. Literally, as iron sharpens the face of iron. As iron sharpens the face of iron would have been, in that day and age, it would have been very well known to them. The face of iron was the cutting edge of the sword. That was the face. And so as a sharpening stone was placed against the face of the sword at a complementary angle, iron would sharpen iron. And it's a metaphor for our friendships, where you and I interact with each other's lives in such a way, a complementary way, that we sharpen each other. Because here's the truth about that iron. You can take those same two pieces of iron and run them contrary to each other, and it dulls. It doesn't sharpen. You can have a bunch of Christian people get together, and instead of encouraging each other in the way of Christ, it can become a big gossip session or a gripe session or a complaint session. Guess what happens? We're not sharpening each other. We're dulling each other. As iron sharpens iron, as we meet in a complementary way, headed the same direction, our eyes on the same prize, we challenge each other, we encourage each other. We are better because of each other's interaction in our lives. Well, what does that look like? How does that sharpening friendship happen? I want to look at 4 words today, and several of them are right in this chapter 27, as we back up several verses. The first word, how do you sharpen iron, are 4 ways, 4 words that you and I will help you and I be good friends. Not only will it help us be good friends, but it will also help us gauge maybe the friendships that we have. The first word is this. It's stay. If you back up into verse 10, Proverbs chapter 27, where we're reading, verse 10 says this: never abandon a friend, either yours or your father's. Well, you can stop right there. That's a mouthful. Never abandon a friend. Never leave a friend. Never forsake a friend. Never depart from a friend. Never leave them in a lurch. That means when things get tough in their life, we don't bail. I'm reminded, and you've probably heard it before, the old Lone Ranger, and he's out in the wilderness with Tonto, his Indian sidekick. And the old Lone Ranger, they're surrounded by Indians up on this hillside, and then the Lone Ranger looks at Tonto and he goes, I think this is it. I think we're done. I think this is our last day. We are going to die here. We are through. Look at all the hundreds of Indians around us. And Tonto looks at the Lone Ranger and he goes, what do you mean we, white man? You know what I mean? You're on your own, Jack. I'm out of here. Things get tough, I'm done. I didn't sign up for this. There are many people in life that you have probably experienced or seen when things get tough, they bail. They may bail on a marriage. They may bail on a friendship. They may bail on, you could go down the whole list of things, but they say, I'm done. I'm not staying. I'm not sticking around. Proverbs tells us in a true friendship, a good friend doesn't abandon. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 says, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. Help each other move towards that goal of accomplishing their purpose. And it goes on 3 verses later in verse 12 of Ecclesiastes chapter 4, he says, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated. Now picture these next words in your mind. But 2 can stand back to back and conquer. You see, that real friend is back to back with you. They're in it through thick and thin. They're not going to quit. We're going to battle this out. I'm here for you. When people's lives hit the wall, a good friend, if you're a good friend, you don't walk out. You extend yourself in that relationship. And some of us, I think, would say, well, I would never do that. I would never walk out on a friend in a tough time. I would stick with them. I would fight for them. I would. But you know what I see happen a lot of times? Is we see people close to us hit the wall in insurmountable ways in life, and we retreat. And here's what it looks like. They go through a tragedy in life, and we don't know what to say. So we don't say anything. We don't know what to do. So we don't do anything. And they're stuck holding the bag, and they don't know what to, and they're all alone. I had the opportunity this last week to hear a lady speak at a conference. Her name was Sheryl Sandberg, and she is the COO of Facebook. 2 years back, May 15th, 2015, her husband, Dave Goldberg, and her were on vacation down in Mexico, short vacation. They were in a nice hotel. She's out by the pool. He says, I'm going to the exercise room. And he doesn't come back for a while. She doesn't think anything of it till he doesn't show up at dinner time. And she finds out that while he was in the weight room, something occurred and blunt force trauma to the head killed him. And so the COO has to come back from Mexico in the short vacation to her home where she has 2 small children. And her boss, Mark Zuckerberg, told her, you take as much time as you need, and then you come back in the office. And she described the oddity of her first days back. She said, I used to walk in the office. At Facebook, I'd walk down the halls, and we'd be, hey, how you doing? How are things going? Everybody would be chatting. Things would be going great. And she said, this time when I came back, I walked in, and it was dead silent. And nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to do. And they were afraid to say the wrong thing. And she said, I walked down that hall to my desk, and I felt like a ghost, all alone, amidst all of these friends that I'd known for years. I think sometimes we bail on our friends without even realizing we do it. But a friend who stays is someone who steps into the awkwardness of the moment and says, as some of you have done in different times, different relationships, you say, you know what? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do, but I'm here. And I'm just going to sit with you, and I'm going to cry with you, and I'm going to listen to you. I'm here. A good friend, a real friend, a true friend stays. Here's the second thing we see in verse 9. Verse 9 says, the heartfelt counsel of a friend is the sweetest perfume and incense. And the idea of heartfelt counsel is not that a person is sincere in the advice they're giving, but it's the idea that they're giving heart-encouraging, life-giving counsel, advice, direction. Now, I've been married for just last week. We hit the 26-year mark. And some people go, wow, that's a long time. Some of you are going, that's longer than I am old. And there are others going, 26 years, I remember those days. But here's the thing I've learned in 26 years. Listen. And you can't listen if you're talking. 26 years has taught me when my wife comes and she goes, this is going on and this is going on and this is going on and this is going on. Check this out, guys. She doesn't want you to fix it. And for guys, that's like completely foreign. We're going, why are you telling me if you don't want me to fix it? I mean, that's like coming in and saying the car has a flat tire and me going, okay. But she's going to come in with all these relational things and go, and this and this and this and this and this. And our wives don't want us to fix it. They just want us to listen. They didn't come to us to fix it. This one, because in that moment of listening, what I've learned is, in that moment of listening, what I'm saying to her is, you matter. I care about you. I'm in this for the long haul. I got your back. I support you. Listen. So before I can give heartfelt, life-giving advice and direction and encouragement, I have to listen and then speak into someone's life. Well, that's kind of a challenge today. Listening isn't just hearing. Listening is grasping the heart from which they're speaking. I love the proverb. Proverbs 25, verse 20 says this: singing cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking someone's coat in cold weather or pouring vinegar in a wound. It's already cold outside. Now you're going to take my coat. I've already been cut. Now you're going to pour vinegar on it? What is your problem? And maybe you have done or seen or experienced yourself an individual coming up at a time when a heart is heavy, and with good intentions, they try to lighten the mood. Oh, well, it'll be okay. Or they try to ease the burden by sharing some platitude of, well, we know everything happens for a reason. Really? God has a plan and all. God allowed this for, really? God killed an innocent 3-year-old child? God gave your loved one terminal illness? No, the reason these things happen is because of sin and Satan and his twisted perversion of messing with our lives. And thank God, God redeems us from the mess. But sometimes we come in with these platitudes of trying to make it better, and all we do is make it worse. People are going, I can't believe you just said that. It's God's fault my child died? Are you kidding me? Sometimes those cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking their coat in cold weather and pouring vinegar on the wound. Sometimes maybe the best thing we can do is sit there and say, I don't know what to say. And there is no way I can make this better. And I cannot even imagine what you're feeling, but I'm here. What I've learned in just the last week in listening to Sheryl Sandberg's story and talking to several other individuals in our community and in our church is, don't say, well, if there's anything you need, call me. That's not being there for somebody, and that's not listening. That's just saying, if you really get stuck and you got nothing else, I'll be there. That's how it comes across. It's not call me if you need something. It's I'm going to be here. And you may pull up in the driveway and just text and say, hey, I'm here in the driveway. Just want to let you know. If you want me to come in, I will. And if not, I won't interrupt. I'll go on down the road. And they may text back, say, not now. They may text back and go, if you would come on in, I need to talk to somebody. You may text and say, look, I don't have to come up, but I'm at the emergency room. And I just want you to know, I've got a toy for your baby or your child that's sick. And if you want, I would be happy to bring it up and spend time with you. And if you don't want, I'll just leave it here and I'll go. It's understanding the hurt of their heart when we listen so that we can engage in such a way that makes a difference. Here's the next word, that idea of engage. In verse 6, if we back up, Proverbs chapter 27, verse 6, here's what we find. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. Wounds from a sincere friend. In our society today, if you say something that I don't like, if you say something that hurts me, if you do something that I think is unfair, you're not my friend anymore. And then the granddaddy of them all, I'm going to unfriend you. Real friends, wounds from a friend are better than kisses from an enemy. You know what the world wants today? If you're my friend, just blow me kisses. Just blow me kisses all the time. Just tell me what I'm doing is okay. Just tell me it's all right. I can do whatever I want, say whatever I want, be whatever I want, and it's okay. They want to light themselves on fire and you blow kisses while they burn. Proverbs says a real friend engages and steps into that relationship and says, because I care about you, let me just tell you, what you're doing is absurd. Did something break in your brain? Why do you think this is okay? Because I care, I'm going to engage. And if it hurts, I'm sorry it hurt. But I'm not going to stand by and let you destroy your life, your family, your relationship with God. Real friends engage, even though it hurts. And there are probably some of us sitting here right now, and we have friendships, and we have friends doing things, and we're thinking, man, that's not a good idea, but I ain't going to tell him. What's my position to tell him? If you're a real friend, you will. If you're a real friend, you'll say, because I care, you need to know. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26 says, the godly give good advice to their friends. The wicked lead them astray. You hear that? The wicked, they're going to keep blowing those kisses while they just travel down the road of life to a dead end. But the godly are going to speak into their life in a way that makes a difference. Here's the last word. Forgive. Forgive. It seems like that would be obvious in a friendship, but in our society today, boy, there's a loss of this idea of forgiveness. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 9 says, love prospers when a fault is forgiven, but dwelling on it separates close friends. Here's what happens in a lot of friendships. People engage, you've hurt my feelings. I am not forgiving you. I'm going to remember that. That's strike one. You engage me again, that's strike two. Engage me one more time, and there are not going to be any more strikes. We don't want to forgive. We don't want to move on. Look, if you're in a relationship for any amount of time, you're going to have to forgive. If you're in a marriage, you're going to have to forgive. If you're in a work environment and you want it to move ahead productively, you're going to have to forgive. If you're in a church, you're going to have to forgive. Even Jesus with his 12 had to forgive. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Jesus had to forgive him. Thomas said, I'm not going to even believe he's alive until I see his hands and the nail prints there and the hole in his side from the spear. I'm not going to. And Jesus shows up and goes, here I am. Jesus had to let that go. James and John, hey, Mom, go ask him. Mom, go ask him. Mom, go ask him. Finally, the mother of James and John comes up to Jesus and she's like, can my boys sit in the seats of honor in your new kingdom on your right and left-hand side? I just wonder if Jesus thought, seriously? That's what you get out of all this? Forgiveness is essential in relationships. John chapter 15, verse 12 says, this is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I've loved you. And if Jesus has forgiven me in our relationship, should I not forgive others? Speaking of Jesus, the ultimate friend who forgave, he engages me in my life daily. He listens to me pour out my heart. He stays when I give him reason after reason after reason that he should leave, give up on me. I'm never going to get it right. The ultimate friend, I think, begs the question today, what kind of friend are you and I to him? Are we a good friend? Are we a friend he can count on? Are we there through the thick and thin? And the church is not a man-made institution, but was designed, I believe, and ordained by God himself. And how do we reflect our relationship with him to those around us? Are we good friends to the others in our church family? Do we have their back? Do we listen when they're going through hard times? Do we speak truth into their life, whether they want to hear it or not? Are we willing to forgive the wrongs? You know, it's kind of hard to do this on a large scale with several hundred people around you. But we can do it if we broke down into smaller groups. 6, 8, 10 people. Here at Berea for a while, we've been trying to launch this idea of small groups where we gather together and we study God's Word together, but we also engage in each other's lives and hold each other accountable and encourage each other. We spend time listening and caring, and when a problem comes up, it should be the small group that addresses the problem. The catastrophes in people's lives would be best addressed by those closest to them. It's in the small groups where we learn to forgive, because as we do life together in a close-knit group, that's when it's easier to be offended because you're close in proximity. And so all of these things occur in a small group. And here's what we've been trying to do for the last couple of years is get this idea of small groups off the ground and find an effective way to do that. It's been a struggle. We've learned a lot of things that we're not going to do in our small groups. And we've tried several experiments with different small groups, and I think we're to a point now where next Sunday we're going to have sign-ups for small groups, and we're going to launch this. And we're going to keep learning as we move ahead. Some groups are going, but we're going to launch a couple more this next, starting in the about 4 weeks from now. I would encourage you, if you want to be a part of a group where this unfolds over time, I would encourage you to take a risk and sign up. Our family's had the privilege of being here at Berea for 18 years now. And our hope and prayer is that God would give us 18 plus more. But when we moved here, we came from a challenging ministry in Indianapolis. And when we left and moved down here, what we found was the people in our lives that encouraged us and spoke truth into our life, the people in our lives that listened as we shared our hurts and our sorrows, the people in our lives that stayed in proximity so much so that they helped us pack up, load vehicles, they took time off of work and drove us down here, they helped us unpack, made multiple trips for the people in our small group. It was people that we'd done life together for only 1 year. And they made an incredible difference in our lives. Look, you can go through the rest of your life being an okay friend. But I believe God's dream for you would be to be a great friend. Where through you, he changes the lives of other people in ways they never imagined. But it only happens in relationship. Choice is yours. Would you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, as we come here in this time, Lord, I'm in awe at the price you paid just to make a relationship possible between us and you. Father, you spared no expense. You've even said you no longer call us servants, you call us friends. What an honor to be the friend, to be the brother of the creator of the universe. Father, thank you for your forgiveness. Lord, I pray that we would lean into that example that you've given us as friendships, and that we would extend that to others. I pray through us you would change lives around us. God, I pray that small groups here would take off, not as a program, but it would take off as groups of people uniting together because of our oneness in you, and you changing our lives and changing the lives of many, many, many others around us for your glory and your honor.